and Jen. It's time to speak up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vernisa.
Hey, y'all, this is Jen.
And this is our podcast, Speak Up. What's up, Jen?
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, guys. That we made it to episode 4 on our new segment, SpeakUpJV Now.
Yo, I still can't believe it how fast time is flying.
Yes, most definitely. For those of you that don't know, me and Jen are best friends. We create this podcast to use our voices and motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self-love and respect.
That's right. 4 episodes, 40th episode, 400 episodes. Self-love and respect are 2 core values we hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, most definitely. Before we get started, quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester in Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Extra Mind, tell them that JV sent you. The Instagram is at MYY.BAR.
And shout out to Crafted by 213. Is your partner tired of your lackluster performance in the kitchen? Are you tired of opening the fridge and not knowing what to cook? Do you close your full pantry and say there's nothing to eat? Call Crafted by 213. From catering to classes, let them craft the perfect experience for you. Bringing the flavors of the West Coast with love, Crafted by 213 will always leave you satisfied. Ask for a quote on IG at craftedb.213.
Yes. What's up, Courtney? Just wanted to say hello out there. So yes, y'all, I am excited for tonight's episode. You know, I want to say this month is flying. Y'all know it's my birthday month, and I'm like, oh shoot, hold on. But I'm like, okay, let's talk about a very important topic, you know, that goes with, you know, just starting off the year. So Jen, what's our title for tonight?
Tonight our episode is called Is It Fulfilled?
Ooh, is it fulfilled? I know y'all wondering what's fulfilled. Tonight we are talking about fulfilling relationships. You know, I know when we were all goal setting, we focused on those big goals, you know, things that have to do with ambition or like certain diet goals or certain passions. But what about the relationships in your life? You know, one of my homegirls actually brought the word fulfilling up to me. Like one day we were talking about things we wanted to manifest, and she said, let's manifest fulfilling relationships. You know, we always think about a relationship, a good friend, a good lover, a good family member, a healthy relationship. But what about fulfilling? So I think tonight we're going to debunk that and get a little deep into it.
Yeah.
Okay, I cut you off.
Yeah, it's definitely important to have fulfilling relationships. And I'm glad that we're actually talking about this and this early in the year too, because I think it'll help us put into focus into what kind of people not only we want to have in our lives, but also what kind of people we want to be in other people's lives as well.
Yeah, and I think too, asking ourselves, are we giving out fulfilling relationships as well? You know, it's easy to be the taker, you know, but are we giving and showing that love too? So tonight's asked up question of the day is, how would you describe a fulfilling relationship? So if you're listening out there, feel free to leave a chat, talk to us. We're live, so we can chat and talk to y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. I would say, you know, I'll first say the word genuine. You know, it's something fulfilling about something that's genuine. And then I think something that is mutual, that's pouring both ways. You know, you eat a decent meal and the meal did its job. It's the same thing, I think, like with anything fulfilling. Like, you know, you don't feel like a lack of in a certain situation. You know, you feel like it's actually meeting the needs of whatever the relationship is intended to do.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's a perfect definition for it. And I'll have to add as well, like a balance, right? You were saying how we have to have a give and take in these relationships. And I think that's a really big one too, because let's be real, like we're going to disappoint, people are going to disappoint us, but it doesn't mean we love somebody any less, right? Of course, depending on what it is. But I think with the fulfilling relationship, we allow ourselves to understand that and to also be understood when we're in that space as well. And it's when we realize too that roles can and have to switch sometimes in relationships, and that's actually what makes that balance even happen in the first place.
Yeah, and I love that you brought the word balance, because you know you have to have that balance within yourself to even give balance to anybody else, you know. So it's a give and take, and also like checking yourself, like, is there work I still need to do or the other person and then are you voicing how you feel, you know, to that person, whoever it is, whether it is a family member, a lover, or a friend. So I love that. So let's talk about the importance of attracting fulfilling relationships, y'all. I mean, let's be real, it's easy to get drained out here. There's a lot going on, especially with social media and cloud chasing and people just, you know, being friends with people for the wrong reasons. You know, you have to really ask yourself, are these relationships in my life fulfilling? You know what I mean? Or is it a waste of time? Is it an anchor that's holding me back from the things that I actually want out of life?
Yeah, definitely. Life's too short to be having relationships that are only halfway one-sided, however you want to say it. And I think this is one of the biggest things that we have to ask ourselves in order to even feel satisfied in our own lives, right? Because most of the time, yes, we spend time alone, but usually we're around the people that we love, that we have some sort of relationship with. And they can alter our moods or the way we think or even certain decisions that we may make in our lives. So it's important for us to know if it is something that's beneficial for both of us in order for us to have that life that we even set out to have. Like, let's say you have somebody in your life who doesn't support your goals or doesn't understand them and is actually just trying to hold you back. That isn't a fulfilling relationship. And before you know it, time is going to pass by. And it's like you haven't done what you were trying to set out to do. So this is why it's important to really think about and reflect on who's in your life, and then also too, what kind of person you're being in somebody else's life, because maybe you're the one holding somebody back. Maybe you're the one telling people, projecting certain fears that you may have, but it's really none of their fault that you're feeling that way.
Ooh, that's huge. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's no one else's fault. And I got to bring this up, and also too with fulfilling relationships. I mean, think about when you have like a buddy in class, and you guys have to do a project together. Me and Jim, me and Jim both have experienced that where someone didn't do the work they were supposed to do. Like that's not a fulfilling partnership, right? In that aspect. So this is another example. Making sure you're doing your part of your end. And we're in a generation where we talk so big. We brag about cutting someone off. I did this, I did that, and sometimes that isn't the flex. Obviously, if someone, if it was necessary, something happened. But why are we promoting how we cut someone off? Like, why is that such a big deal? Like, who could cut off the most amount of people? You know what I mean? In reality, it's like you might have to really go through and examine those relationships. Why is this happening? What is really the root of the problem here? You know what I mean? For that.
hmm Yeah, I would take it as I'm focusing on the wrong thing. Like, sure, maybe I had to cut somebody off, a certain person that wasn't, that we just weren't growing together anymore. But I think that is taking away from what I do have in my life and the people that are in my life. So instead of focusing on what I took out, let me focus on what I'm gaining on top of that too. And then let's be real, right? If somebody didn't even care about our presence, cutting them off isn't going to make a difference to them anyway. So it's not like it's something that we should focus on, and definitely shouldn't have our energy there anytime, longer than it should be.
Yeah, and I want to say this too with the whole cutting people off. You're not in a fulfilling relationship when you do cut someone off, and they don't, and then they notice when they got cut off though, but they were absent through the whole time when the relationship was falling apart. Like I really want to throw that in there, so that's something else to examine. And I want to say to be intentional about having fulfilling relationships. So that comes with every now and then we have to self-reflect. So obviously reflect on yourself, but reflect on your circle, reflect on your lover, reflect on your friendships, all those things, who you spending the most time with, who you telling your business to. All those things have to be done to really realize, okay, is this a dating friendship or is this something that's holding me back at the end of the day?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a big one. I think there's a lot. I know sometimes we say, like, well, you have to go with the flow. You never know where things are going to turn out. We've heard those quotes up and down. And maybe when we were younger, it was okay to live that type of thing. But now, as we're getting older, we have to realize that it ain't no, we're gonna see what happens, or maybes. It's about, okay, I want to know from the jump where we're headed, or at least where we plan to be headed. If things change due to circumstances, or maybe we do find out we're not compatible in whatever way, then that's a whole different thing. But I think being with the plan, or having set your intentions from the very beginning, is very important for whatever relationship you have in your life. Let's say like a business relationship, right? Are you going to jump into business with somebody if they're saying, oh, we'll see what happens with this, maybe we can do this and there? I'm sorry, that's money, that's time, and that's also your name, your reputation. So you should treat other relationships in your life in that same aspect, not necessarily like a business way, but having that mentality of like, okay, I wouldn't put my own money or time in jeopardy, so why would I waste my time and energy on someone who's not fulfilling me in a romantic way, or in a friendship way, even in a family member type of way too.
When you were saying the business part, I was imagining someone saying like, "I'm gonna make you rich," on the flex and on the cap, and it's like, well, what is this? No, so that's real. And make sure you're doing the end of your stick as if you're acting. And I want to say too, know when you were being taken for granted. I think sometimes we normalize certain behaviors because it's somebody that we love. It could be a close friend, it could be a lover, family member. We're just like, oh, that's just, they love me. It's okay. And I learned, I've been learning, best friend, love ain't enough.
Right.
We put so much emphasis on, well, that person loves me. I know it's love, but in reality, is it fulfilling though? Stuff requires respect, loyalty, value, appreciation. It goes deeper, time, energy. It goes deeper than just the word love alone. You know what I mean? Because like you could love someone and still not value it. You know what I mean? Or love something. So it's like that toy. You could love a toy, but not give it the time that it needs. So I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever. But what I'm trying to, where am I going with this? But yeah, acknowledging that no matter what title you give the person. Oh, we got Sandra in the comments. Hey, girl. She said, reflecting and touching base with the people around you is necessary, especially when it comes to goals and intentions. Well said.
That's definitely big. Yeah, especially like we're saying, right? Bringing anybody into your future is very important to think about because there are some secret undercover haters that you don't even know about. If you're not reflecting on your relationships, or if you're not thinking about like for real, why is somebody making me feel a certain way when I'm around them, then yeah, you could end up being with somebody who is actually just trying to hold you back or trying to see you just on the low. So I'm glad that you brought this up because I think that needs to be said for anything. But also touching back on your point about love not being enough, this is why I really learned when they say love is action, right? Like it's not just the feelings that come, because it's easy to have that attraction for somebody or, care for them, want to see them do well. But there's also the ugly parts that come from any type of relationship. So the love, the action part in that love has to come in those moments too. That's where that action of maybe the tough love comes in, or maybe you realize you have to be there for them more than they can be there for you at that moment, or just really show them that they are an important person in your life, and also them showing you at the same time. Like I think this is the most important thing when it comes to any type of relationship, because we're all just going to go back and forth. We're all going to hit rock bottom at some point. So it's important for us to really be able to distinguish who's actually trying to see us thrive and who's actually trying to just see us hit rock bottom all the time.
I'm glad you brought that up. Who's trying to see us thrive? Who's trying to see us hit rock bottom? Because that all goes with fulfillment as well. And and know who deserves access to your fulfilling energy. So if you're, shout out to the lovers, lover people out there that just for love, or who just people who are just a ray of shine to this world. You got to be protective of that. I've been learning, what's the word I want to use? I've been thinking like I had to dim my light to be around some people. It's like, no, if that light can't shine around a person, that person shouldn't be in my circle, shouldn't be near me. So it's really about that when it comes to fulfillment. With fulfillment, you should be able to be your true, authentic self in these relationships and these connections. If you ever have to change who you are, pivot, be somebody else to make somebody else happy, that's not fulfilling because you're not even being fulfilled within. But how is that a fulfilling situation? So
exactly. And let's be real, just real quick, like with dimming your light, it's only going to work for so long if you're willing to even put up with that in the first place. Like there's going to come a point where you're going to feel like I can no longer do this. I am who I am, especially if you know who you are, or even you may not know who you are at the end of everything and realize like, dang, what have I been doing? I've only been pouring into somebody, but they haven't been pouring back.
Yeah, and after a while, your spirit can't take it anymore. So that was well said. So it is time for our tweet up segment. So y'all know I love to be on Twitter. So something that I tweeted this week that goes in our episode is focus on who does show up for you. So this is going deeper into fulfillment. I think too with fulfilling relationships, focus on the fulfilling relationships in your life. How many times you had a great support group, right? And then one person, a particular person didn't show up, didn't come through for you. And you put all your energy on that one person, but disregarded that whole group that was around you. I want to say shout out to Felix. I think he's listening out there. I actually posted something like that on my story, and he commented and said, yeah, it's almost like a slap in the face to the people who did show up, who did be there for you when you're focused on those 5 people who didn't even come around, who aren't showing up in your life. So I've been learning that too. Value is giving me the time, the attention, the energy, who is coming around that I don't have to, stretch myself thin to include in my life, so that's the point I wanted to make.
Absolutely. I mean, I take it with that quote, like the Oprah quote that says, if you focus on what you don't have, you'll never have enough. If you focus on what you do have, you'll always have more. You can apply that to the people in your life as well. Like, it's not even about how many people are around you, it's about the quality of maybe even the one person you do have in your life, the few friends you have in your life, the few family members, whatever you want to look at it, and appreciating them. Because one presence in your life can make an entire world of difference versus the 20 people who didn't show up, who don't support you, or whichever. So focus on that one person, because maybe they need you just as much as you need them. There's so many things going on in this world that I think we need to at least focus on loving each other a little bit more, the people who are in our lives and the people who we do know that are trying to have our back. And it's just something that's super important, because then also I go back to what's productive, right? If I'm focusing on somebody who didn't show up, how is that productive in my life? How is that affecting them in the first place? If clearly they didn't care enough to show up, then they don't care enough to think about how I felt or anything like that. And if they have a valid reason, then of course that's a whole other thing. But also too, being productive in showing my people my love, the people that are showing me in every way that they can, that they do care about me, so that I can show that love back, or find better ways to show them too. If I haven't been appreciating them, then I find better ways to let them know that I'm loving them.
I love it, to let them know you're loving them. And what you focus on gets more power, honestly. So that's anything in life. That goes with our goals. We're giving power to whatever it is, the bad thing that happens. So it's really about that. So let's talk a little deeper now. Let's talk about unconditional love and conditional love when it comes to the fulfilling relationships. So Betsy, do you want to take that one on?
I mean, yeah, it's in the sense too of a fulfilling relationship is going to be unconditional. And I know unconditional love gets this like negative connotation almost to it, in the sense of like, oh well, the ride or die type of thing. Like, I have a whole issue with that term as well. But I think it's just a matter of, again, accepting that we are flawed just as much as the person we love is flawed as well. So that unconditional love means that I accept this person, I understand this person, and I love them with all of those flaws, because they do the same in return. And then with the conditional, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? We've touched up on this on other episodes, but it's basically that they only love you when it's beneficial for them, or when you're around them, when you can give them something, right? So this is where we need to distinguish that and find out, like, dang, who has been there for me through my hardest times? Who's seen me ugly cry? Who has seen me have financial issues, have family issues, like anything like that. Those are the people who have been giving you unconditional love, whether you realize it or not. So focus on them and realize that they're the ones who are maybe trying to have that fulfilling relationship with you.
Yeah, and I think going deeper with the unconditional love, people who, another part of fulfilling, right? They know you inside and out, to where, like, if there's something that is triggering for you, or like, you struggle with, they try to help that. They're not trying to poke at you or make you feel like a burden for certain traits that you have that are probably a little more harder to love. I think that's a big deal, because we all have something going on, you know what I mean? But it's like, people who really truly love and care about you aren't ever going to make you feel worse for what you already feeling. Like, especially if you're a person who overthinks. Someone's playing on that, making you overthink more, shaming you for overthinking. That's not nobody you don't want to have to, keep around in that aspect. So that's a big one. So I've been learning, like, having grace with people. And then, like, we talked about this in previous episodes too, you don't know what battles people are fighting in silence. So that goes hand in hand with the grace and the unconditional love. Like, really just, somebody cross your mind, saying hello to them, checking on them, making sure they're good. It's give and take in these fulfilling relationships.
Yeah, I love that. Definitely. I think that's a really big one, especially nowadays. I think a lot of us, we're so focused on what's going on in our world that we forget to remember that, or we forget that other people are also going through their own things, their own battles. So if things are a little bit different now, for whatever reason, then also realizing that is part of life as well, right? Relationships do change also. So maybe the the intensity of how things were before may not be the same, but as long as that love is there, that's why foundations are really important in relationships too, because that never goes away no matter what phases of a relationship somebody is in with you. um like, it's about understanding the people in our lives as well, like knowing that they're always going to be going through something the same way we are, and as doom and gloom as that may sound, like, unfortunately, life can be unfair in certain ways. So sometimes the people around us, they cope differently, they grieve differently. So they may start to change, they show different things. We may start to change as well, show things in a different way. So if we don't understand ourselves, then that means we're also not willing to understand the people in our lives. We're not willing to let them know, hey, this relationship is still important to me no matter what you're going through, and vice versa. So we need to just have that grace with each other, understand each other, so that we can have better relationships.
I love that. And I think too, going off of foundation and stuff, communication, I think that's very important, and it keeps it strong. That way, there's never misunderstandings and stuff. I think that goes with fulfillment too, because fulfillment isn't, leaving any, what I mean, leaving people confused, like, that person feeling like they don't know what's going on or like what to do. So that was a good point that you brought up. And let's talk about too, debunking the myth that you can't love someone from afar and love them unconditionally. You can love I really believe, maybe correct me if y'all want to comment or something. I really believe you can love somebody from afar and still have that unconditional love for them. Because let's be real, like Jim was saying about, your life is changing, people going through, people act different. You may just be on a different path with someone. It could be a loved one and y'all have different interests, different, you guys aren't for each other, and that it could be a family member, anything, a friend. But doesn't mean you don't still love them, you're still not praying for them. Doesn't mean you have to be actively in their life all the time. I'm talking for people who like had little fallouts with certain people, but it's like, you still love them, of course. So don't feel like you're not loving a person properly if you're actively, if like, you can't be around them for certain reasons because you guys are just grew apart or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just have to make that clear on there.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought that up, because I think sometimes we may think like, oh, I have beef with them, or like I can't be around them as much. So does that mean I don't love them? Like, be real and clear with yourself, and it's important to even analyze those feelings on your own as well. And then how far that unconditional love goes towards somebody, it's completely up to you, of course. Like, I think obviously certain circumstances may make us look at a person a certain way, or maybe just really not want to be around them, period. But it doesn't mean that love ever goes away. I think especially with family, this can apply, maybe to distant family members. I've talked about this before, where I have certain family members that I'm like, you know what, I love them and everything. If they really needed me, I would be there for them. But for the time being, I don't want to be around them. And maybe they don't want to be around me either for whatever reason. So it's still knowing that, yeah, I got your back to a certain extent. I know you got mine to a certain extent, but for the time being, we just can't be around each other. So we just really need, again, to practice grace with each other and understand that's probably going to happen more than once in your life.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And then also with fulfillment, I can't even say that word. I couldn't spell it yesterday, and I can't say it. The connection with appreciation, this is big. Appreciate your real ones. We take this, sometimes we take people for granted, life for granted, and stuff like that. Like, all that goes together. That fulfilling feeling you want, like, I don't know about y'all, but I like the feeling of feeling appreciated, like especially when you feel it or it's being showed to you, so it's like that goes with the hand in hand, like pour it back into that cup, especially when it's being poured into you as well.
Oh, definitely. That's a big one. And showing, right? Like, I think that's big. I know some of us may not be like me. I'm not very affectionate, so the way I show appreciation is a completely different way, depending on who it is. But it just knowing that you're letting the person you care about know that you care about them in one way or another, right? That's why even knowing the love languages is very important. Knowing the people around you's love languages, that matters to them too. So that way they actually do know, hey, I am being appreciated. Hey, I am being loved. And then you being able to know too, like if a person is doing everything they can for you to show you that they appreciate you, but they're not speaking that love language that you speak, then yeah, maybe you're not going to be seeing it as much, and you're going to be taking it as, oh, well, why aren't they telling me is, maybe because your love language is words of affirmation. So having, again, that communication, that talk, so that way you're able to understand, oh, this is how this person likes to feel loved. Let me work more on that, and vice versa.
I like that. Let me work more on that, because sometimes, we got to change it up a little bit. Like, I usually don't do this, but, and get through that. So it is time for our Life Up segment. So that's when we take the episode and we relate it to today's world. So, Jen, what is our Life Up for tonight?
This is a big one. The rise of one-sided relationships. We see this a lot, right? Maybe we've been in one, we are in one way or another. For whatever reason, we decide to be with somebody, hang out with somebody, associate with somebody, maybe for status, maybe financial reasons, maybe just because they helped us in one way or another, so we feel guilty and we want to be around them, but knowing that we're not benefiting them any more than they're benefiting us in the long run. We're not saying that if they're giving you money, obviously you're not benefiting, but I'm just saying more on an emotional level, because I do think obviously relationships should be much deeper than financial or any other type of status. So making sure we don't end up in these.
Oh yeah, no, that's big, and that relates to self-love and inner peace, because it's like, if you're the only one pouring out the cup, your cup won't eat, and they can't. Or like same with like favors. How many friends can you really hit up and they're gonna be right there for you? Like if something, you got stuck somewhere, something happened, can you return that favor back too? Like I think that's where it's like checking yourself at, like knowing, okay, I got this dependable group I could call, but can they call me as well? And I think that's where it comes from, making sure you're not in a one-sided relationship. And I brought up social media, people hanging out, people for clout, popularity, and status. I think this is big with networking. People have watered down networking. Networking used to be like a give and take type of thing, a thing where you're kind of helping each other, but it has become, oh, this person popping, I'm gonna get on with that. I'm gonna try to, it's like the love and the genuineness of networking actually has been cut out. Don't get me wrong, yes, it's supposed to enhance opportunity, of course, open doors for you. But I think it's more malintentions now. People are quick, oh, they don't have many followers, I don't even want nothing to do with it. Like, no one's being genuine anymore about just sharing a post or making sure they're promoting someone's business, and I think that needs to be talked about some more, in relationships too today, not having no foundations. So it's like, really check your circle, check certain family members. What is the foundation of that? Like, is this like, what is the reason you guys even link up? What is it for? Really knowing, okay, is this the stable foundation that I want out of it, or is it not?
Yeah, no, that's really big. I think we sometimes mistaken intimacy not just for the physical action, but also thinking because we're sharing something, oh, I'm building a bond with somebody. But really pay attention, is that person, one, actually paying attention to what you're saying, two, sharing something back, maybe not as deep or something, but really empathizing with you or trying to help you out or something. Like, this is where those foundations are really built off of. When things hit the fan, like you were saying, who's actually going to be there? And this is really big, because we may think somebody is our friend or our lover, the one for us, whatever. But in really analyzing something, we realize that if there's no actual foundation for that vulnerability, for that bond to be created, then there is actually not going to be any future for this type of relationship. And these are dangerous. We see this happening too when, like you were saying, people are networking thinking, oh, their value decreases because they don't have a certain amount of followers. And it really just ties into how other people view us and we view them, even on a subconscious level. So if we're already going into any relationship with that mindset, then that foundation is definitely not going to be there. But even if we're not, let's not kid ourselves if we realize that we're the only one sharing and then the other person isn't, or we're the only one who cares and the other person doesn't.
Yeah, like it kind of turns to like a popularity contest, and I think it's like reminds me of high school. Like, I don't know, same old little stuff. And also too, look, y'all knew we was gonna bring this up. Relationships only being fulfilling online. So how many situations? It could be friendships, it could be romance is a big one. But yeah, those online pictures, it looks fulfilling. Like, it just shows that moment of the gift being given, this and that. I think this has been adapted from celebrities. How celebrities, like, they buy them that big purse, that nice car. And I feel like people trying to keep up with the Jonases and show like, okay, look, I bought my partner a purse, I bought them a car, whatever. I'm giving them money and this and that. But then once that flash of the camera stopped, it's actually a chaotic mess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, there's no fulfillment with that. These we gave too much power to just these photos, these
Yeah.
videos, this TikTok and stuff like that. We really are starting to believe that is reality versus what's really going in, like, in the real world.
Yeah, that can be just a snippet of what really actually happened within that hour frame. It's like how many edits were made for this, how many bloopers and cuts and all that stuff can be applied to this. And it's actually a scary thing because we may be idolizing, and this is why we shouldn't, but we may be idolizing somebody who we think, oh, their relationship goals, friendship goals, whatever. And in reality, you don't know what's happening. Now, obviously, no relationship is perfect, no friendship is perfect, nothing. So take it always with a grain of salt. But I don't ever think we should be saying, oh, I want my relationship to be just like them because they have the money, they have the looks, they have the love, whatever. At least that's what it looks like. And then on the outside, on the inside, behind closed doors, it's a hot mess. Like, how many videos have we seen too of even like these these family influencer channels where it's like they come out saying, oh, we've been divorced for a while, or we actually don't even live together, or they were abusive behind camera and now I finally left them. Like, we see this happen way too often, and I think we're creating this pressure, societal pressure, to have it perfect. Like, oh, let me be just as good as the Joneses, but let me be better too. But then it's like, who am I actually trying to fulfill this with? And if it's somebody that isn't trying to be on the same page as us, one, I also don't think you should be flaunting any type of relationship in that type of way, because obviously the more eyes on you, the more haters. That's a whole other topic though. But I think too, there's always just going to be that pressure to be better, to show, oh, my relationship is the best one, my friendship is the best one. And it's like, if things go down or things aren't always at their best, then what, you get exposed.
Yeah. And I think too, going off of like what you were saying earlier about like the ride or die thing, toxic relationships have been seen as fulfilling online because people are mistaking the intensity of it. Like, oh, well, they're down for each other. Yeah, they went through all this, but they're still together. That is taken away from a healthy relationship. Like, okay, is it even actual stuff? Is this even healthy? Obviously relationships go through different things, of course, like friendships and all. But I think it's at a point, it's fueling the fire, like for people to think, well, if it doesn't have this much drama, it's not real. If I didn't go through this and stay, it's not real. Like, no, so we just had to bring that up in this topic because I feel like doesn't fit the definition of something that's fulfilling and healthy.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really big issue. We need to stop idolizing this behavior of like, oh, if he don't kill somebody for me, then he don't love me. Obviously that's a little dramatic, but having that type of mentality that if it doesn't hurt, it's not real. Like, whoever said that love had to hurt like that? And in any type of sense, even with friendships, like, oh, if she not willing to, cut all like her friends off for me or whatever, then she's not the one for me. Like, it's just so messed up, and we need to stop thinking with that type of mentality, because in reality, where's that gonna go? How many times have we seen these toxic friendships, these toxic relationships, that they end up hurting more than helping? It reminds me of the movie 13. I don't know if anybody out there has seen it, but it's like an older movie that came out when we were younger, and basically it was like these two girls, they clicked. I think one of them, she just really wanted to be like the other girl, like she was a popular one, and everything. She looked cool, dressed really nice, whatever. But when they became friends, like, they became really toxic friends with each other. Like, they both ended up being a bad influence on each other. They ended up getting into things that they shouldn't have. They ended up having this one scene where they were like both hitting each other when they were both numb in the face. It's a really intense movie, especially for portraying 13-year-olds. But I think it's relevant in the sense of showing that we think that's how a friendship or a relationship is even supposed to feel. And if it's not like that, then it's not real. But that's like one extreme case. But even then too, like, having these undercover haters, as your friend, as your partner, this is a dangerous one as well. And when we're trying so hard to put up this facade for other people, we may be missing what's going on in the background.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the undercover cover hater stuff because that's real. And I think too, when we're in these unhealthy situations, it doesn't have the foundation like you were saying. So that's why it's quick to just erupt when things don't go right. So that's why I think everything always goes back to your own self love and inner peace because you're more sensitive to think when things ain't how it's supposed to be. So I love that. And how do we fix this? Look, have some real fulfilling relationships. Stay away from one sided. Make sure you're doing your part, and make sure your cup's being filled as well. And genuine networking. I want
Yeah.
to throw that in there.
If you find yourself losing yourself in any type of relationship, maybe that's a time that you need to start reevaluating, especially if it's putting yourself in danger. If you have children, putting your children in danger, anybody else, on any type of level, then that's where we need to start really with in how to fix these relationships. I guess is what I want to say, like starting with analyzing that type of feeling, that type of behavior, and then going from there.
Yeah, uh, that was definitely well said. And also, too, a relationship can still be fulfilling and have flaws. So we're not saying a fulfilling relationship is perfect at all. Like, obviously things, things aren't perfect and stuff like that. But, just know that I want to say if the foundation is solid, the love is there and it's genuine, those are the things that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think flaws to make any relationship interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe bringing a certain perspective to you that you didn't know you needed.
Challenge each other.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a beautiful thing too because you're learning that someone can be different from you but still compliment you in a way, and then vice versa.
Yeah, no, no, that's so no, that's very true. And I want to say too, know when you can't give someone a fulfilling relationship. So we know when our energy's off and something isn't right with us. Know when you ain't got it to give. I think too, being able to be verbal about that or knowing like this situation is going to require too much. Like knowing when it's too much and it's not something you can pour into as well.
Sorry, my cat here is meowing. But it is time to shout out our other sponsor, Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind for a goal to let your self love show through your self care. Their chemical free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com or check them out on Instagram at beactualnatural.
Yes, and also shout out Lakita. Check out Lakita's new book, Swipe Right. It's really good. It's a self help book about relationship with yourself. So tap in, y'all. Shout out to Sandra. She said filling your cup should be priority before filling others. Yes, most definitely. That foundation with yourself will set the foundation with others. It sets the tone for other relationships. Do you value yourself? You'll know if you're not being valued in a different situation. So, it actually goes to our next topic. Yeah, having fulfilling. We're gonna now talk about having a fulfilling relationship with yourself. I can talk about this all day, really. Honestly, I would say since I started taking my self love and inner peace and prioritizing me and focusing on a fulfilling relationship with myself, like I have brought so much happiness, inner happiness to myself. I absolutely love it because I feel like having a fulfilling relationship with yourself is knowing yourself left to right, up and down, really knowing who you are, knowing your weaknesses, your strengths, knowing who to have around you, and also, you know, um, you'll know more how to attract fulfilling relationships with other people because in a day, if it's disrupting the peace that you already started with yourself, it's going to be hard to keep that around for too long.
Yeah, your relationship with yourself is the first one you will have and the only one that is guaranteed that you will have. So it's up to you on how you want to nurture it, especially in making yourself feel good, right? Because then in having that fulfilling relationship with yourself too, you become aware of not only your flaws, but also your strengths. So when somebody tries to diminish that about you or make you feel like you're not doing something and you are, then it's like you're unshakable. And I think this is really important for all of us as partners, as friends, as family members, whichever, because if we don't know ourselves, then we won't know how to catch either the red flags in our other relationships or even how to appreciate the good things happening in our relationships. Because if we're not seeing it on ourselves, then yeah, that's just not going to happen. Like this is super important. And we may be asking like, oh, what does that even look like, right? Like, obviously that's going to be depending on you, but a fulfilling relationship, at least with myself, it's knowing that I'm still me despite whoever's around and whoever's not around, that I'm still happy despite what's going on in my life, that I'm still knowing my core values, that I'm still doing things that I love to do, with or without somebody. Like, it's just pretty much knowing that you got you, right? I think of it as like a dating me type of thing, where it's like I can still have fun with myself no matter what. Sometimes I can't stand myself the same way I couldn't stand somebody else, but I still love me no matter what. And it may sound funny, but yeah, like if you ever catch yourself getting yourself on your nerves, then congratulations, you're having a fulfilling relationship with yourself, because then that means that you're one step closer to finding out why and maybe working on that a little bit more. So that's how I would answer that.
Yeah, like an accepting like the dark side of you, accepting the flaws and like having the patience with yourself to work through whatever it is that's causing certain parts of you to act up in a certain way. Check that whole self-reflection. Another way of fulfilling a relationship with yourself is spending time with yourself, allowing yourself to rest, like I think like just taking care of you, just like, if it's another connection outside, obviously if your needs aren't being met, it's not fulfilling. It's the same with you. Are you meeting your own needs within yourself? The needs that you can possibly meet. I think that's the question to ask yourself when finding out if you have a fulfilling relationship with yourself. Learning to be your own happiness, like that Will Smith quote, the happiness starts from within. And it's so true, because if you really ain't happy within, a person could come, bring you all the gifts, give you money, do all this, take you to the best party. But if something is going on in here, you're not going to have a good time. Just like if you're in a chaotic environment and, some people still have that peace within themselves, it's the same thing, because they found that inner happiness within, so all those things go hand in hand.
Ooh, that's big. And I love that you brought that up, because it's almost like, no matter what happens around me, I'm not going to love me any less. So keeping that in mind for the rest of my life, I think is going to
be love it.
But we also need to work on improving the flaws within ourselves, right? I think that's a big one. Like, just like we would want our partner to understand us, right? Or our friend to understand us the way we would want to be listened to. And we should do that to ourselves. So that way we know too where I can improve on, because there's always something we can improve on. Yes, we're never going to be perfect, but if you know that there are certain things that you can do a little bit more, not only for yourself, but for somebody around you, then practice a little bit more of that, as long as it's a positive thing, of course, before anybody goes out there and says anything. And this is really big, because it's also hard to even admit to ourselves what kind of flaws we have. Or maybe if you're already an overly critical person of yourself, then you may think you have more flaws than you actually do. So if you already criticize yourself too much on those flaws, then maybe ask yourself how you can be more productive on them, versus just saying, oh, well, I already know I'm this type of way, whichever. No, let's be productive and let's work more towards a positive way. And then if you don't know yet, then this is your sign to start working on that and really reflect on how I can make that better. Because if you don't think you got flaws, well, I'm gonna tell you that's one flaw right there, because we all got them.
Look, y'all better listen to Jen. She's telling you. But speaking of listening to Jen, y'all know what time it is. It is time for our drink up water segment. So if you listening out there, please drink some water. And Jen has a water fact for tonight.
All right, y'all. Tonight's water fact: drinking enough water helps energize and support hair growth from root to tip. It also helps prevent split ends and a brittle hair texture, as well as fosters a healthier scalp, meaning you'll have fewer chances of developing problems like dryness, itchiness, or dandruff. And this is big, right? No matter what hair texture we have, how much hair we have, whatever length we're at right now, it's big. Of course, considering that we're healthy enough to grow our hair in other levels. But this was such an interesting water fact for me to learn, because I didn't know that water had benefits even towards hair. But it makes sense, right? Like if you're dehydrated, how is your hair going to grow to be more, stronger, luscious, whatever you want it to be? So this was really big, but I didn't know that it was deeper into the scalp type of thing, because a lot of us think about how the hair looks on the outside, like is it shiny, how does it feel, whatever. But it's also thinking that our roots literally come from the scalp. And I know it sounds like common sense, but really think about your scalp health. Like, are you suffering maybe from certain things? Do you get overly oily? So depending on where that comes from. So having enough water in your daily life is going to help you with your hair, and ultimately just going to get you to your hair goals, no matter what it is.
Yeah, so drink your water and have some healthy, luscious hair, okay? That was our drink of water fact with Jen. So y'all know my bestie is a quotey, so she also has a quote for tonight to go with tonight's episode.
In life, our loved ones make the moments we carry with us for a lifetime. Don't waste your life on the wrong ones. And this goes back to what we were saying, right? Like, don't focus on the people who didn't show up. Focus on the one you are making memories with. Like, think about this. When you think on your life and the moments that you lived, adventures you've taken, whichever, and you think about the people who were there, 9 out of 10 times, you're not even going to remember who didn't show up, right? Yeah, maybe you're going to remember, oh, I was expecting a certain person, but then you're going to think about what a great time you had making a memory with somebody who actually was there. And this is what life is about, making those memories with these people who continue to show up for us, with us, and continue to make more memories. Because when we're older, maybe, I don't know, we're older women or something, I want to be able to look back on my life and remember the people who did make me feel loved and who I made feel love in return, because those are the ones who are going to matter. They're the ones who I'm probably going to end up talking to anyway. The ones who didn't show up, clearly I'm not going to make it to the end of my life with them, so why bother wasting my time on them?
Yeah, and that's why it goes back to, don't waste your time on it, because I feel like, let's say it happened and you made a big old scene about it, that actually becomes the memory of that night because you spent that whole whatever 30 minutes or the whole day upset when you could have had a good time with the group that did attend. Make the memories with your fulfilling relationship. So even if it's an unfulfilling relationship that does show up, right, they can still be there and be unfulfilling, like be around you and be unfulfilling, like the dead weight relationships. Don't waste more memories with that. Really, give it to the people that do make you feel light after. I saw a tweet that said, it's nothing like those friends that make you feel magical after you hang out with them, like you feel like invincible. And it's so true, because I'm like, I think of my support group, certain people that are in my life that after I finished seeing them, you just feel amazing. Even if you had a crazy day, it's just knowing you got that first, that laugh that you had or whatever you went through. You know what I mean? It just makes you feel so much better. So, create more memories with that. That's actually a better pursuit to happiness than wasting it on draining energy.
I love that so much. That at the end of the day, these people who didn't show up, right, they're probably showing up for somebody else or not showing up for anybody else anyway. So, we can't make somebody do something that they don't want to do. That's another thing that we need to remember in fulfilling relationships. People do what they want. So they will always show you what they want to do. And keep that in mind.
What they rather do with that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't waste your time on people who don't deserve it. Like, I don't know how many times we have to emphasize this. And I think this is the perfect time to talk about that, because if anything, 2023 really feels like different energy for a lot of people. I've been seeing this a lot. So it's that time for us to fresh start, clean slate, whichever new goals that you want to accomplish. So make sure that you're surrounding yourself more with the people who are actually happy for you, who are actually willing to see you accomplish those goals, who are willing to accomplish them with you. These are the things that we want to fill 2023 with, because let's be real, January is almost over already. Like, that just shows how fast time is flying. And if you're wasting it on the wrong people, there's going to go a whole nother year and you're going to be having the same talk, probably.
Story.
So yeah, in 2024.
What post really got to me? It was like, don't waste another year doing the same shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you look back, it's like, okay, you said next year, it's the same thing. So we're really dealing with the same people. Like the ones that obviously don't deserve you. So it's time for our wrap-up segments. Honestly, how does it relate to self-love? Self-love is having a fulfilling relationship with yourself and attracting fulfilling relationships and connections. Honestly, that's what it's about. You feel good when you're feeling fulfilled and you're just sharing that fulfillment and they're giving it in return. I think that's a win right there, honestly.
Yeah, life's too short to be spending it with people that don't want to fulfill, and who, let's be real, we don't want to fulfill at the end of the day. We get those times too, right? but it's important. This is why it's important to work on the relationship with ourselves first. Like, this is the big one, because no amount of love that somebody else gives you, no amount of words, anything that somebody gives you is ever gonna make it more impactful than the ones you give to yourself. Because yes, maybe they tell you certain things that, oh my gosh, they make me feel this type of way, whichever. But one, if you feel like you don't deserve them, or two, you don't believe them, then how much reassurance are you going to constantly need? Or how much is this person going to keep pouring into you before they realize you're not even pouring back? Because let's be real too, when we're not pouring into ourselves, it's really hard to pour into somebody else. And we start realizing that we're actually taking more from this relationship than we're giving. So this is where the importance comes in having the most fulfilling relationship with yourself, and the rest will follow.
No, that I love the rest will follow. It's like that nice whoop. Because what you're doing, and you not gonna have time for them people who don't deserve it. You're gonna just know, it's just gonna be so much easier to block. Because I remember there was a time I wasn't loving myself properly, and I was in such a cloud, I couldn't even see if someone wasn't genuine. Because you're so in the cloud, or you think that's what you deserve, or it feels normal to you, people disrespecting you, or just being in your space just to have people, you know what I mean? But when you start to love yourself deeper, those clouds move out the way. You can really see people for who they are and what are they offering to the relationship. So, that's something else to meditate on, with this episode. And when is our wrap up for tonight?
Well, I wanted to add one more thing. We need to be okay with being alone if necessary. Whether it's alone from, cutting off toxic friends, cutting off a toxic partner, toxic family members, XYZ. We need to normalize that so that we can regather ourselves and really find out who we want to be and what kind of people we want to intentionally have in our lives. And this is really big. Like, I think a lot of us get scared of that word, right? Alone. Like, oh my gosh, does that mean I have nobody to talk to? Not necessarily. It just means that you're regrouping. Right, the same way that you would regroup if you're making a new business plan, a new goal plan, whichever. Make a new life plan, a new love plan, even for yourself, and then just keep breaking everything down as best as you possibly can. Then you'll start to realize what kind of people that you want to be around. Maybe you'll discover a new hobby, and then it's like, hey, you make new friends when you start going to that new hobby. But do it for you, with that intention in the beginning, and then you'll see that everything does start to fall into place. So don't be afraid to be alone if necessary. But to wrap up our episode, it can't be emphasized enough, but we're gonna say it anyway. Short to be thinking about people who don't think about us. Let's be better friends, lovers, family members, and society members to the ones who have shown us we can love them and ourselves freely. And this is big, and I hope that this message comes across.
I like the society members. Like, she went in, she let it know the whole. But yeah, that was well said. But we appreciate y'all tapping into our third episode of our newest segment, Speak Up JV Now. We actually have a new episode coming out this weekend, so coming out Saturday. So please tune into that. We'll announce it tomorrow, but yeah, you don't want to miss it. And make sure to subscribe to our other content on Spotify, Apple. We're also on Podbean. We're on Twitter at SpeakUpJV and Instagram at SpeakUpJV. And my Instagram is at Vernice. That's V as in Victor, ERNISA. But before we go, quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester, Eagle, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Ask for My. The Instagram is at MYY.BAR.
And shout out to Crafted by 213. Is your partner tired of your lackluster performance in the kitchen? Are you tired of opening the fridge and not knowing what to cook? Do you close your full pantry and say there's nothing to eat? Call Crafted by 213. From catering to classes, let them craft the perfect experience for you. Bringing the flavors of the West Coast with love, Crafted by 213 will always leave you satisfied. Ask for a quote on IG at craftedb.213.
I just caught that and said full pantry. Wow, that makes it so much funnier. And also shout out to Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All the products are created with you in mind for a go to let your self-love show through your self-care. The chemical-free hair and skin care products are handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com. The Instagram is at beactualnatural. We'll be back next Thursday live at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. Tell your friends, and we love y'all. See y'all soon.
Love y'all.
Bye.